Welcome to the Lance Wallnau Show today, and I got my son Carl with me here in the studio, which is always great to have.
What's up?
All right, now, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the beginning, starting the year off right. I always thought it was a great name for a conference. I think Chuck Pierce, a buddy of mine, does it that way. Some of my friends, Hal and Cheryl Sachs, out in Nevada, I think that's where they are, do it. Reno, they do it, and I'll be there, I suppose, at the end of January. And it starts the year off right. Now, the first thing that I recommend you do is in Genesis. I heard Robert Sladen say this once, I never forgot it. The Bible starts off with these words, in the beginning, God, and then created the heavens and the earth. Well, you start in the beginning with God. Good way to start the year is in the beginning, God. So we dedicate ourselves to the Lord. You want to have the best year of your life? Most important year of your life, you start out by dedicating yourself to the Lord. And you dedicate yourself to his purposes and what he wants to do. It may take a little while to actually get to the place where you're really doing this thing authentically and genuinely from the heart. But it's worth the exercise. I recommend you do it. I see Obama here. President Obama has the Seven Mountain ornament hanging around his neck like a millstone. I don't know who did that. I'm going to take it off you there, buddy. And hey, look at this. Look at this globe. See this? When I was a kid, my mom used to sing to me, he's got the whole world in his hands. But I want you to think about this. This globe, as big as the world is, God literally has it in his hands. He controls. Yeah, figuratively. he could fit right in the palm of his hand, and he can control what's going on. So he has the ability to work all things together for your good. And I want to encourage you right now to start the year off with the intention of entering into the convergence or the blueprint or the plan that God has for you. The idea that God actually has prophetically, the thing I love about prophecy is that it implies that there's already an intelligence that's gone into the future that scans the horizon that can come back and inform your present. It's like GPS. And if you have a prophetic sense of where God's called you to go, what he's called you to do, that GPS can help guide you to make the right decisions as you go. Starts off with our workbook here, which is your ultimate life strategy. I'm going to be working with Carl on this, cracking the convergence code, how to bring your life into a divine intersection with the prophetic purpose God has for your life. Go to lancewallnau.com/ultimate, and you can get access to the ultimate, I guess it's like 4 hours or 4 DVDs worth of training we did for a major weekend with my students on how to work out and unpack this journey. Carl, why don't you go over to the board, and we'll start with the Wheel of Life. Let's start with an assessment of where you want to focus on. By the way, I did this myself. I do this every year. I start the year off by saying, in all honesty, where am I at in these critical areas of my life? Because in these various segments and slices of the pie, emotional, spiritual, financial, career, marriage, or romance, or family and friends, or I have fun and recreation, you can create your own categories for the Wheel of Life. But I recommend you do it because your ability to enter into career convergence, which is the call that you're ultimately alive doing in the work that you do, which to me is, I think, the ultimate convergence is when your gifts, talents, and abilities are being used in 40 hours a week plus of you working with your skills to transform something or someone or the world around you. But it starts with a fearless inventory of where you're at. So, Carl, go ahead and walk them through this for those that haven't seen this before. It's on page 6 of this. By the way, if you're in Facebook or Instagram, just put the word ultimate in the comments, and we'll give you a link so you can see more about it.
Nice. So before I jump into the wheel, a couple things. One, it is a new year. Congratulations on making it this far. Hopefully this is your best year yet. Earlier, you saw my dad holding up a little globe. little earth in his hands. A friend of mine and I recently had a conversation about the importance and significance of perspective. And when we look at our lives, when we look at these little things that might be annoyances or grievances or shame that's been globbed onto us, it helps to have a perspective of how small we are and how little those things really are. So by holding that globe in your hand, figuratively, metaphorically, just imagine the perspective that God has on the minute little details of the things that are going on. Those little inconveniences, as they were, they just wash away in the grand scheme of things. So as you're looking at this, as you're looking at your life, just consider the ant, sluggard. No, I'm just kidding. But like, think about how small these little things are, and they're just trite. You know, they're little tiny things that really don't matter in the grand scheme of things. So don't let them affect you, because how you do anything is how you do everything. Yeah, it's an oversimplification, but it's easy enough. Secondarily, before we move into the wheel, I want to talk about how in life we sometimes view the trajectory of the boat, and we think that the wake is going to tell us how that boat got there. The wake is just telling you the things that have already taken place. So in your life, don't view yourself as the wake, view yourself as the ship, as the vessel, that as you are that individual that you want to be, as you fill out this wheel, you are creating the reality where you are that person in the future. So faithful in the little, faithful in the more, consider that. Now, onto the assessment, the wheel of life. There are these 10 spokes, as it were, on this particular wheel. As my dad mentioned, for you at home, it might not necessarily be all 10 of these. There might be some other things that are slightly different. For instance, you might break up health and appearance, or you might break up the home environment versus the work environment. Especially if you do work from home, those environments are going to be more overlapped. If you work out of state, if you're on the road a lot, and that's of course going to be a lot of VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity with your work environment. But that's just for you. As we go through this, let's just throw some numbers up, right? We'll say finances, new year, new me. I want to make more money. We'll say I'm about halfway up. So for the wheel, as you fill it in, we would actually be filling this in. Okay, my spirit life could be better. I'll say it's a little high, so 7 or 8. Somewhere up there, it's very nice, that's good. I am with the Almighty and He is with me. Emotional regulation, I could do better. We'll say 6, right? About midpoint, I would like to have more emotional agility. I would like to be able to be present with people instead of having all this internal monologue going on that turns into a dialogue where I'm not actually present to the moment because I'm not emotionally invested in what's going on. I'm more emotionally invested in what's going on internally. So we'll say that's about a 6, right? So right here we got 5 here, we got 7 or 8 here. Got 6 for emotion. And what you're noting, or hopefully noting and noticing, is that as I'm filling this out, I'm noticing there's a lot of gap, right? So it's not just that I have 5 out of 10, it's that I'm actually leaving half of my potential on the board where it's not being filled in. Marriage and romance, doing pretty good. Recently married in the last couple years. I love my wife tremendously, but of course there's always room for improvement. So we'll say it's a 9 out of 10. If you ask her, she's probably going to say it's closer to a 7, but you know, I'm not her. Family and friends, I got too many of them. Just kidding. It's always good to have more friends than you need. But for family and friends, we'll say that's probably a 8. Fun and recreation, I want more fun. I want a lot more fun. I'm going to do 2. 2 on fun and recreation. Where are you at on fun and recreation, Dad?
I'm in the enjoying 7.
You're 7? That's good. What for you constitutes a good 10 out of 10 fun and recreation moment, day, time period?
Well, I think it's when you have, I think I would say at some point where you have an uncontrollable laughter. That is, you know how you really lose it. And I could manage it on a broadcast. If I couldn't manage it, uncontrollable laughter would be the zenith of that.
Excellent, excellent. How often
Hey, have you ever had chocolate milk come out of your nose when you were a kid? How many of you have ever had, do you ever laugh so much you were laughing and chocolate milk? I'm just wondering, in your comments, write down, yes, I have. Either chocolate milk or Kool-Aid, because as kids, you get in those giggle fits or those laughing fits, and they really take you over. And while you're eating lunch or something, I'm just asking because I've found a high number of people have had that experience.
All right. Well, for those of you at home, make sure to drink and laugh. With the fun and recreation, 2 to 7. Home work environment, we'll just throw up some numbers here. For home, we'll say 5, and for work, we'll say 4. So about mid-range here. Personal growth, I actually invented a simple system designed to incentivize task completion while gamifying goal execution. And I want more people to get involved with that. So if you're interested, hit me up at cwallnau@gmail.com. But for personal growth on my own, say 6 or 7. 6 or 7. How about yourself, Dad? Where are you at with personal growth?
Well, I'm more specific about that. So my personal growth is I would change that and I'd put a word under. You can always customize these.
Always
And I'm
customize.
putting the organizational. I'm giving myself new name, the Jason Bourne of organizational execution. Meaning, I'm really working right now on using planners and technology to maximize my productivity. So, and I'm going to start giving myself roles, like going to give myself really cool names that will help me to really get emotionally focused on what am I really looking for in this role. But for me, that productivity, personal time management and project productivity is something I've been wrestling my whole life. This is the year that changes.
You know what I love that you just did is that you added more layers of distinction. So for those of you at home, as you're customizing your own wheel, Dad, I encourage you to do this as well. Actually have your own separate wheel of productivity, of organization. So break that up into how organized are you? Time mastery, how are you practicing your time mastery? When it comes to productivity, how are you measuring your input? With the 4 disciplines of execution, what you're supposed to do is focus on the wildly important goal. You're supposed to act on lead measures. There needs to be a cadence of accountability, and there should be some type of compelling scoreboard. Now, what I'm asking you with those 4 disciplines of execution, what are the lead measures that go into that productivity for you, right? So when it comes to being productive, it's not just the output. Yes, the output is, of course, the end result that we want. That's the lag measure. What lead measures go into that? So you don't have to answer that right now, but for you guys at home as well, something to consider as you're filling out your own wheel of life. This assessment, this approach to assessing where you are is multi-purpose, right? It's not just a one-size-fits-all, even though the assessment itself is a one size. As you choose to apply it for yourself, it's customizable, which is pretty amazing. Last but not least, of course, is health and appearance. New year, new me. You're going to be hearing that. You're going to be seeing that all over the place because it's just what happens, unfortunately. It's really unoriginal. As a creative, it's upsetting to me, but whatever. It endures. So health and appearance, what does it mean to actually quantify your health? How can you? We look at our weight, of course. Well, a lot of people will do bodily measurements. We can actually assess our BMI, or body mass index. All those different qualifiers help us understand where we're at and where we could go. The more distinction, the more mastery. So the better and more you're able to understand something, the more layers of distinction. And the more layers of distinction that you have, the higher probability of actual mastery in that area you'll have and develop. So we have health and appearance for me. I'll be nice. I'll say 5, right? Could definitely be better. Could definitely be a lot worse. And career.
But you lost a lot of weight, and you really took that seriously. You did some disciplined stuff, I think, in order to be able to do that.
I did when I was getting married, and last year, around the holidays, I allowed myself to veg. I've been, not going to get into the details, but there's some familial issues that we've had to deal with, medical scares and stuff like that. So I haven't been as adamant about getting out there. I will say, every day so far this year, I've walked over 3 miles, and I'm going to try and keep that going. About 5 clicks.
Outdoors or indoors?
Indoors, right now.
You have a walker?
Yeah. So just on the treadmill and, staying active. Okay. Another really good little thing is anytime that I eat, I try to walk afterward, just kickstart the body, kickstart the insulin. So these are little tiny things that you can do along the way that help you understand. But also, as you note here, out of a possible 100, right? Let's just do some quick math. 5, 12, 18, 27, 36, 2 on that, just kidding, 38, 5, 38 and 5 is 43, 43 and 6, right, 49, 50 some odd, right around there, and then career, we'll say 5 again. That's fine. So just looking at these numbers, I have about 60% of my wheel filled in, which means there's 40%, which means I'm almost halfway away from being at a level 10-10 in every possible regard. Even though each of these is separate, right? It's indicative that there are many other things that I could be doing, lead measures that are going to impact these lag measures. So that's where we start. Just like, I don't know if you guys go to malls ever at all, but usually there's a kiosk of the map of the mall. And it shows you all the different stores, all the different items that you can go to, yada, yada, but it starts with you are here. So that's what this does, is this helps identify where you're starting at So that way you can then figure out the beaconing area of where you want to improve and why. So Lance, what are your thoughts?
And another part of this image is if you start to fill in that wheel part, like just do some broad strokes with a brighter pen so we could see it, because it's not showing up so well on the TV monitor. But if you'll notice something, how comfortable is your ride? Like, let's say that you filled in your, do you have a spiritual thing right there?
Yeah, right here.
Let's put that, fill in spiritual up to 100%.
All right.
Wow, I'm really loving my spiritual life. But now, how's that ride going to be if you've got your spiritual life is strong and everything else is weak? Well, it's going to wear on you. So can you borrow in some places from one area to help with another? And so you look at where you might be strong and look at where you might be weak, and you say, maybe I could reallocate some of my energy over to another. I'm just saying, you could pick one area, and let's say that you have real strong spirituality, but you do not have strong health, and you really want to do that. Well, start looking up verses that will help you be motivated and focused and enduring. And God has not given me a spirit of fear, but also God has given me self-control. And so, it's a fruit of the Spirit. So you start to use your strength in order to leverage it to help you with a weakness. And you also use other people. What I'm saying is, this is the first step in our guide. Remember, this is going to be lancewallnau.com/ultimate for the Wheel of Life. It's to help get a clear picture as to where you are on the wheel. And my theory is, and we cover this, I guess, in another one of these manuals, is that when you've got a really maximized personal development, it helps you with your career development. Because what happens, Carl, if your relationship is you're going through a divorce, you're going through marriage counseling, you got a crisis. If that relationship factor tanks down to like a 0, how's that going to impact your career convergence? I promise you that there's going to be a price you pay. I was listening to my friend Steve Bannon joke at Amerifest. I must have had to do some alimony or a meeting with a lawyer or something, because he was joking about how, you could, he works 24/7. He's fully committed. He said, if you don't believe me, you could talk to one of my 3 wives. And, and his point, and I thought right then, this guy has probably worked his way out of 3 marriages because he's 24/7. And I remember Andrew Breitbart, I talked to a friend of his who said he was in the shower talking to him because his wife was so fed up with him talking so much to Andrew. But they were doing 24/7 news cycles, and Andrew was that way, and that was the way Steve Bannon was. So my point is that if you're
don't do that.
Don't do that.
That's my point.
In convergence, if your personal wheel isn't balanced and isn't guarded, how could your physical health affect your career convergence? I mean, the door opens for God to do what you're called to do, but you can't be there to do it. And it's a tale that must be told, because Rush Limbaugh dies of lung cancer. Lung cancer, my wife will say, is because he had 8 root canals, which disconnected the nerve communication, which caused his body to stop being able to resist. Anyway, the poor guy, a man I loved and so many adored, he was so needed during the 4 years when Trump was out of office to hold the psychology. I mean, we survived, but he would have been in his prime. Right now is the time he could go to glory, because he would have seen America through the crisis of where it was. But he had to go right before that happened. And that was because his physical body pulled him out of what was really his actualized highest and best self. So it's something to take serious about this. That's why I want you to write the word ultimate on Facebook or Instagram to get a hold of our Ultimate Life Strategy. Oh, I've only got 10 seconds left. Listen, I love doing this broadcast with you. When you're doing what you do best in the place where it matters most, you are 100% alive. That's what's the quote on the back of here. Go to lancewallnau.com/ultimate to live the ultimate life strategy. And that's just one module of, we've got at least 8 of them here, but 4 hours of DVD training to walk you through the whole process. We'll see you again tomorrow. God bless you.
Au revoir.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to